Warning, your ChatGPT conversations are being indexed by Google. What you need to know. Imagine having your most intimate conversations with AI assistants like ChatGPT exposed to the world without you even realizing it. This is exactly what's been happening, as public ChatGPT queries have been getting indexed by Google and other search engines. But here's where it gets interesting. Just hours after this article was published, OpenAI announced that it had removed the feature that allowed users to make their public conversations discoverable by search engines. The company claimed that this was a short-lived experiment that ultimately introduced too many opportunities for users to accidentally share things they didn't intend to. But let's dive deeper into this issue and explore what it means for users and their privacy. If you were to filter search results on Google, Bing, or other search engines to only include URLs from the domain https://chatgpt.com/share, you'd stumble upon strangers' conversations with ChatGPT. Sometimes these shared conversation links are pretty mundane, with people asking for help with tasks like renovating their bathroom, understanding astrophysics, or finding recipe ideas. However, other cases are more revealing, such as a user asking ChatGPT to rewrite their resume for a job application, or someone else asking questions that sound like they came from an incel forum. Another user even asked the AI assistant if they could microwave a metal fork, and continued to ask increasingly absurd and trollish questions, eventually leading the AI to create a humorous guide called How to Use a Microwave Without Summoning Satan, a beginner's guide. Now, you might be wondering how these conversations became public in the first place. The thing is, ChatGPT doesn't make these conversations public by default. A conversation would only be appended with a /share URL if the user deliberately clicks the share button on their own chat and then clicks a second create link button. The service also assures users that their name, custom instructions, and any messages they add after sharing stay private. However, users may not anticipate that other search engines will index their shared ChatGPT links, potentially betraying personal information. This is a norm that was established in part by Google, which may index public links to files from Google Drive, such as documents with the Anyone with Link Can View setting. But here's the thing. Google generally doesn't surface links to Drive documents that haven't been publicly posted on the web. According to ChatGPT, these chats were indexed as part of an experiment to make it easier to share helpful conversations while keeping users in control. But this raises an important question. Should users have more control over what gets indexed by search engines? And this is the part most people miss. While search engines like Google control the algorithms that determine what content gets surfaced for search terms, they cannot control what gets indexed. As a Google spokesperson told TechCrunch, neither Google nor any other search engine controls what pages are made public on the web. Publishers of these pages have full control over whether they are indexed by search engines. So what does this mean for users? Should they be more careful about what they share online? Or should search engines take more responsibility for protecting user privacy? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this issue. Do you think users should have more control over what gets indexed? Or do you think search engines are doing enough to protect user privacy? Let us know in the comments. And if you're concerned about your own privacy, you can always reach out to us with tips or questions through Signal, an encrypted messaging app, or email us at amanda@techcrunch.com. OpenAI removes ChatGPT's search discoverability feature. What you need to know. Bold alert. Privacy issues with search engine exposure are taking center stage. OpenAI has decided to pull a feature that allowed ChatGPT users to let their conversations become visible in search engine results. This feature, which was an experimental addition aimed at helping users find interesting and beneficial exchanges, is no longer available as of Friday, according to Dane Stuckey, OpenAI's Chief Information Security Officer. Stuckey explained on social media that the feature's opt-in option, which required users to tick a box to make their interactions discoverable on platforms like Google, ended up creating too many chances for unintended disclosure of personal details. Essentially, while the original idea was to share useful conversations publicly, it inadvertently increased the risk of oversharing sensitive or private information. He emphasized that the decision to remove the feature was driven by OpenAI's commitment to prioritizing security and privacy. This change is being rolled out gradually, with Stuckey noting that the option to share conversations in this manner will be completely disabled for all users by tomorrow morning. In addition, OpenAI is actively working to have any previously indexed content removed from search engines. But here's where it gets controversial. Some early reports, including one from Fast Company, had already revealed that certain ChatGPT conversations were being indexed by Google. Moreover, a newsletter writer on Platform X, formerly Twitter, highlighted that the sharing setting might lead to exposure of sensitive dialogue, ranging from intimate discussions about personal fears to exchanges that touched on topics like harassment and impromptu therapy sessions. Although the publicly shared chats were anonymized to protect user identity, the worry remained that users might accidentally divulge more than they intended just by not reading the fine print. This situation raises an intriguing debate. Should the convenience of sharing useful content through automated discovery trump the potential risk of exposing personal details? And what responsibility do companies like OpenAI have in safeguarding privacy, even as they experiment with novel features? We invite you to join the conversation. Do you think this rollback was the right move? Or should different measures be taken to secure user content while still encouraging beneficial sharing? Urgent! Your ChatGPT conversations are now on Google. Data privacy risk. Your conversations with ChatGPT could be publicly visible on Google Search. This is a significant concern, as Google is currently indexing shared links from ChatGPT, with the exception of those using ChatGPT Enterprise. Consequently, your AI-generated dialogues might be discoverable through Google Search, which raises serious privacy issues. This situation arises particularly from prompts and responses that users have shared using OpenAI's Share feature, often without fully understanding that this content could become publicly accessible. Christopher Penn, co-founder and chief data scientist at TrustInsights.ai, emphasized on LinkedIn that if the public shared link is placed anywhere Google can see it, it will index it. What's going on? When you perform a search using the query cite chatgpt.com/share, you may uncover shared interactions that contain sensitive business information, personal names, job roles, and strategic insights. For instance, one search revealed a senior consultant from Deloitte, complete with their age and job description, all accessible to anyone who knows how to search for it. Why is this occurring? This issue arises when users inadvertently click the Share Conversation button in ChatGPT. This action can lead to unintentional data leaks, creating a treasure trove of information for competitors. Why should we be concerned? Marketers and SEO professionals often utilize generative AI to experiment with messaging, brainstorm content ideas, or draft outlines for client-facing documents. However, when these conversations are shared, whether intentionally or not, they risk exposing proprietary strategies, client identities, campaign specifics, or internal research to the public internet. With Google actively crawling and indexing these conversations, marketers face the danger of leaking valuable intellectual property or confidential planning materials into the hands of competitors, or even worse, into the public eye. The bigger picture. As more enterprise teams incorporate AI tools into their daily operations, this situation raises critical questions about AI governance and data hygiene. Although OpenAI's sharing feature is intended to foster collaboration, its potential impact on data privacy and brand reputation is now under scrutiny. What actions should you take? We are witnessing the early signs of a potentially larger issue. It is crucial to keep your company data off the public web and out of search engine reach. Treat AI outputs with the same confidentiality as sensitive documents, especially in competitive industries. Here are some steps you should consider. Review any ChatGPT conversations you have previously shared. Conduct a search for your brand name using site chatgpt.com/share to find any indexed mentions. Educate your teams about the privacy risks associated with AI tools. Explore AI platforms that provide on-premises or private cloud deployment options. A cautionary note. Olaf Kopp, co-founder and chief business development officer at Aufgesang GmbH, cautioned on LinkedIn that while only a few thousand conversations are currently indexed, it is advisable to refrain from interacting with shared public ChatGPT chats. He stated, "Do not engage with these chats. There is a risk of prompt injection. Check your shared links and delete them from your account. Navigate to Settings, Data Controls, Shared Links, Manage to prevent your chats from being shared and indexed." Update. In response to these privacy concerns, OpenAI has now removed the feature that allowed for Google indexable chats. For more details, check our follow-up article. ChatGPT kills Google indexable chats over privacy fears. Contributing authors. Search Engine Land invites expert contributors to create content, ensuring their insights are relevant to the search community. All contributions are overseen by our editorial staff and are vetted for quality. Search Engine Land is owned by SEMrush, and contributors are not required to mention SEMrush directly or indirectly. The views expressed are solely those of the contributors. About the author. Rick Toussaint is a global SEO and AIO consultant, as well as a speaker at Team Lewis, dedicated to helping brands enhance their organic search visibility and conversion rates worldwide.